Montserrat reduces quarantine restrictions for vaccinated travelers. If an individual fails to provide proof of vaccination, he or she will be treated as a person who is not fully vaccinated. A person is considered 14 days after receipt of the second dose in a two-dose COVID-19 vaccine series. A person is considered 14 days after receipt of one dose of a single-dose COVID-19 vaccine. Fully vaccinated person who goes directly to designated quarantine facility or place of isolation shall remain there until 10 days have passed. On May 16, 2021, the government of Montserrat implemented amendments to the Public Health COVID-19 Suppression Order, reducing the quarantine requirement for individuals traveling to the island who have been vaccinated against COVID-19 from 14 days to 10 days. Persons who are allowed to enter Montserrat must provide the medical officer or health officer with proof that she is a fully vaccinated person, as well as a negative PCR COVID-19 test taken 72 hours before commencing their journey. If an individual fails to provide proof of vaccination, he or she will be treated as a person who is not fully vaccinated. According to the Statutory Rules and Orders (SRO) 30 of 2021, a person is considered fully vaccinated 14 days after receipt of the second dose in a two-dose COVID-19 vaccine series, or 14 days after receipt of one dose of a single-dose COVID-19 vaccine. A fully vaccinated person who goes directly to his/her home, place of occupancy, designated quarantine facility or place of isolation shall remain there until 10 days have passed, provided that he or she has taken a PCR COVID-19 test or RNA COVID-19 between 8 and 10 days after entering Montserrat and is not infected with COVID-19. If the individual is expected to leave Montserrat before the 10 days have elapsed, he or she will be allowed to leave. These quarantine and testing requirements do not apply to the following persons: an attorney at law, judge or other officer of the court who intends to come to Montserrat for the purpose of appearing in or presiding over court proceedings, a member of the crew of an aircraft or ship, including freight, cargo or courier craft or vessel, non-resident technician provided he has been granted permission to enter Montserrat prior to traveling to Montserrat, a person who has been granted permission by the minister to enter Montserrat for the purpose of aiding with preparations for a disaster or after a disaster. A person entering Montserrat who is not fully vaccinated is required to take a PCR COVID-19 test upon arrival. Following the relevant immigration and security checks, she is allowed to proceed directly to his/her home or place of occupancy to self-quarantine, or to a designated quarantine facility or place of isolation. Such person must remain in quarantine for 14 days, and is required to take a second PCR COVID-19 test or RNA COVID-19 test between 12 and 14 days after entering Montserrat. Once this test is negative, and the 14 days have elapsed, then the person is allowed to leave self-quarantine or the quarantine facility. If the individual is expected to leave Montserrat before the 14 days, he or she will be allowed to do so.